It's 7 o'clock, time for our regularly scheduled council meeting. Mike, would you call the roll, please?
Collier Wise.
Here.
Helwig.
Here.
Holland. Here. Humphrey. Here. Price.
Here.
Sorensen.
Here.
Ward. Wilson. Here. Mayor Powell.
Here.
Student Representative Skunk.
Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. Item 3, we have minutes for September 4th special meeting, September 4th regular meeting, and September 10th special meeting. Motion a second to approve the minutes as printed. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Adoption of the agenda. We have one correction that I'm aware of, and that is we're removing item 8F. 8F will not be held tonight. Mike, John, do you know of any other changes or corrections? Okay.
Move approval of the agenda as amended. Second.
A motion and a second to approve the agenda as printed. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Under visitors to be heard, addressing the council, persons addressing the council shall use the microphone at the podium. Please raise your hand to be recognized, go to the podium and state your name and address. Items that are not on the agenda, members of the public may speak under visitors to be heard on any topic not on the agenda. Remarks are limited to 5 minutes, and no decision will be made at this time. For agenda items, public testimony will be taken at the beginning of each agenda item after the subject has been announced by the mayor and explained by staff. Any citizen who wishes may speak one time for 5 minutes on each agenda item. Public testimony will then be closed and the topic will be given to the governing body for possible action. At this point, only city council members and staff may discuss the current agenda item unless a council member moves to allow another person to speak and there is unanimous consent from the council. Questions from council members, however, may be directed to staff or a member of the public through the presiding officer at any time. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on any topic that's not on the agenda? Please.
Good evening. Most of you know me. I'm Damon Elvey, Superintendent of the Schools here, 17 Prospect Street. I just wanted to take a moment to thank the council, the community at large, just for the partnerships that have been provided to the school district, not only in the past, but most importantly this year. I guess I'd like to thank most recently for, of course, the continuation of the resource officer in our school district, which is a valuable asset, having police presence in our buildings throughout the day. I also wanted to thank our EMS and our fire departments and police departments for, many of you probably didn't realize the very first day of school a few weeks back, we had emergency responders, firemen, or police presence at each of the buildings. They had their rigs out there and were helping to slow traffic. You know, on those days there's a lot of new kids coming to school in traffic and people needing to slow down, and we had lots of presence of city officials around helping to curb the speed and helping kids get to and from school safely. So wanted to acknowledge and thank the council for their leadership with that, but most importantly those departments. And also thank the first responders who've come. We've had a couple incidents and events in our buildings that required the school, law enforcement, or EMS to come to our buildings for different events. And each time they've come, they've been professional, taken charge, and taken care of the situation. So I just wanted to once again thank those individuals and the council at large for providing those services and partnerships to our school districts. So,
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
thank you.
John?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. I'm pleased tonight. James Purdy is our new Assistant City Manager. Today's his first day. So, of course, we gave him assignment tonight here on the agenda. But I just wanted to introduce him to the council. I had a chance to meet him earlier today, but also to introduce him to the community. So, welcome, James. We're glad to have you on staff.
Speech.
You'll hear enough out of me. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Anything from council members? Okay. Public hearings, item 6. Item A, special daily malt beverage and wine license for the Vermillion Area Arts Council on or about October 6, 2018 at 202 Washington Street. And Mike, please.
The Vermillion Area Arts Council has submitted an application for the special daily malt beverage and wine license for October 6, 2018, for their Chili Blues event to be held at 202 Washington Street. Included in your packet is the notice of hearing and the police chief's memo. The city staff is not aware of any problems with previously issued special daily licenses granted to the Vermillion Area Arts Council. Phyllis Packard completed the application. She stopped in today and handed out a flyer, which I put up there by the mayor, on the Chili Blues event that she said they're putting up around town. The fee of $20 for the license and $15 for advertising has been received. Administration recommend approval of the issuance of the license unless some further information is provided at the public hearing tonight.
Thank you, Mike. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on this topic? Anyone wish to make comments on this item? Seeing none, turn to the council.
Second?
A motion and a second to approve the special daily malt beverage and wine license for the Vermillion Area Arts Council. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item B, special assessment roll for nuisance abatement. And again, Mike, please.
On August 20th, the City Council adopted a resolution setting a public hearing date of September 17th for the nuisance abatement of special assessments. The notice was published and letters were sent to the property owners of the hearing tonight. The individuals' billings for each property are listed on the resolution, including the date of the tagging or corrective action. The City Council sets the tagging fee. The mowing and snow removal amounts is the fee charged to the city by the contractor hired to perform the work. The property cleanup is the fee paid to the contractor. These assessments would become a lien on the property and would remain until paid. If the owner sells the property after it's assessed, the city is protected by the special assessment lien on the property. Since August 20th, 4 properties were removed from the list. 1 had been paid and the others had reverted to the county. Others had reverted to the county on tax deed, so they were removed from the list as the ownership had changed. It's recommended by staff that City Council receive any public comments and consider the information. We're not aware of any information that has not previously been presented with respect to any of the special assessments that would warrant reducing the amount. Administration recommend adopting the resolution. Notice would be sent to the property owners after adoption that they'd have 30 days to pay the assessment. Without any interest after that, they would be turned over to the county for collection.
Thank you, Mike. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on this topic? Seeing none, council?
I just have a quick question.
Tom?
So some of these changed hands. Some of these changed hands, you said? And so there was, until we take action now, there's no lien on these right now.
No, there's no liens, so those that, I checked with the county on Friday to update any that have properties been sold or, in the case, reverted back to the county for tax deed.
Okay. Thank you.
Second?
A motion and a second to approve the resolution. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. We turn to old business, item A, second reading of ordinance 1385-2019 appropriations. John, please.
Thank you. While this might seem like it might be kind of a quick item for those who might be tuned in for the first time, back on August 6th, we gave the City Council a proposed budget for 2019. And I commend them for the amount of time that they spend on it. Probably had 2 special meetings that were about 10 hours total the council spent going through that budget document and preparing the budget that'll be considered tonight. So they do spend a lot of time on it, even though we might only spend 5 minutes tonight potentially. I do want to recognize the time that they spend, as well as our department heads and employees in putting together a proposal that was presented to the council in August, worked through in the budget sessions, first reading of the ordinance at your last meeting, and then second reading this evening. Just a couple of highlights that we kind of go through. The budget does include the 2.1% increase in dollars that we can ask for. If you put that together with the growth that's outside of our TIF districts, that will provide an additional $83,893 for the city. We are proposing to increase the sales tax approximately 3% over the revised 2018 number, which will net about another $56,000 for the city. Probably an item of interest that the people in the audience or on TV or what would have an interest in, the proposed budget does not include any water, sanitary, sewer, or curbside recycling or electric rate increases for 2019. The only increase proposed is our storm sewer fund is about 3.7%, which will generate about just shy of $9,000 additional money in that fund. As the council knows, our general fund is very tight. In a few minutes, you'll also consider a proposal that would consider transferring some money from our second penny fund to the general fund. But with that said, there are a lot of good highlights in this budget. I'm just going to touch on a few of them here. The proposed budget does support a 2% cost of living adjustment for employees and step increases eligible and warranted. We do have new library materials, about $95,000 that we spend in that in any given year. We hope to get the Vermilion River Hike Bike Path. We have the money included in there to get that rerouted or reconstructed. That's got a life of its own, but hopefully we'll be able to make that happen in 19. We have a number of park improvements that are included. We have the Prentice Park Ball Field that we're going to be doing some significant work on in the hopes of landing some baseball tournaments in the following year, replacing some of the lights at the Prentice Park Ball Field. The restroom upgrades. Restrooms are, believe it or not, a bigger challenge to build than you would imagine. But we do have additional restroom in Prentice Park, some bleachers that are ADA accessible. The second year of our 5-year plan to install advanced metering infrastructure, that will be for our electric and water meters to allow the staff here in the office to be able to read those, give customers a more up-to-date usage rather than once a month. We're working through the city over the next 5 years of doing that. Next year is the final year of conversion to LED streetlights. We have been working on this for the last couple of years, and this year we're able to point to some electrical savings in our budget as we have a couple of years worth. So next year we'd be finishing that up. One that most people won't get to see is recoating the interior of the Church Street water reservoir, but yet that's a necessary project that we have to do periodically. One that people don't really want to see is the wastewater treatment plant digester and related improvements down at the plant. They did begin those probably about last week on September 10th, I think it was, and they will be continuing that project into next year. A very visible project is the Anderson Street reconstruction. We'll be reconstructing Anderson Street from Main Street to Clark Street. We did continue forward the $1 million pledged towards the downtown streetscape project. It does include funding for an additional police detective and funding for our outside agencies per the directions of the City Council. So I could talk about this for a long time, but I think the council is very well aware of this, so I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, John. Comments or questions from the audience? Seeing none, council, this is a, well, I've got 14 places where it says roll call, but I don't think it's been approved yet, has it? A motion and a second to approve the second reading of ordinance 1385-2019. And this is a roll call vote, so if Don would set the equipment for us, please. The results are 9 yes and 0 no. The motion passes. Item B, second reading of ordinance 1386, 2018 revised appropriations. And again, John, please.
Thank you. So when the City Council adopts a budget, typically twice a year, the City Council will go in and do a budget revision. That is, make changes for things that we didn't get quite right when we adopted the ordinance, in this case in September of 2017. So we'll hopefully capture most of those revisions now, but then you'll have a cleanup ordinance in December for any additional changes that we might have. Just a couple of notes here. We are projecting to revise the sales tax revenue down about $35,000 in both our first penny and second penny from the budget estimates that we had going into this year. We found that those numbers are perhaps a little bit high. When we do these, we never quite know the timing of some of our construction projects and when those payments will take place. So with this, with Apprentice Street Lift Station, we're installed a lift station at Apprentice Street as well as the related improvements on Clark and Plum. That project was underway last September when you were doing that, and how many of those payments would fall in 17 versus 18. We have an adjustment to reflect that, as well as the new electrical substation in the northeastern part of the community, north of Mesaba. We also had the Apprentice Park parking lot, as well as the basketball courts. The timing on those, again, when those construction payments would take place, we have some adjustments for that. So that's the bulk of the changes. I would note the two funds, our general fund, we're revising the revenues and expenses from $8,110,829 up to $8,461,075. And those are predominantly related to the Jefferson Street construction project, a pool construction payment that we had this year, and believe it or not, we still do have one next year. And then we also had the sales tax rebate that was at the beginning of the year related to the Mesabas project. And the second penny revenues and expenditures, those are being revised from $1,990,900 down to $1,916,700. So one going up, one going down. I'd be happy to answer any questions, but again, those were largely addressed when we went through the budget revision meetings in August.
Any comments or questions for City Manager? Turn to the council.
Move approval.
A motion and a second to approve the second reading of ordinance 1386-2018. Would you set the equipment, please, for a roll call vote? Overall results 9 yes and 0 no. Motion passes. Item C, second reading of ordinance 1387, second penny for general fund. And again, Jonathan.
So one final budget item related to our meetings in August, and this one has to do with the use of our second penny funds. Back in 2003, the City Council adopted an ordinance that required that all second penny funds be used for capital items, and that has always been honored and spelled out in code what that could be. In preparing a proposed budget for the City Council, we usually anticipate using some of the reserves in any given year to help balance out the budget. Well, the year will come and go, and we maybe have some openings in terms of positions that are vacant, or perhaps the expenses aren't quite as high as we anticipate, and so we don't necessarily, in most years, we don't have to draw down into reserves. We were looking at a higher than typical amount of draw into reserves in preparing the 2019 budget. And so we proposed to the City Council during the budget meetings to utilize up to $95,000 of second penny funds that would be transferred from the second penny fund to the general fund in September of 2019 if that money was needed to help with the balance the budget at that point in time. This is set up very specifically that the City Council would address it in September of 2019 and determine if they need to transfer the money from second penny fund to the general fund. I would note that it is legal under South Dakota statutes to use second penny funds for the general fund, for general expenses. Many cities do that, but our communities had the history in the ordinance that says you put one penny into the general fund, the other penny into capital items. So it is permissible to do this. It's just not been the practice of our city council or city government here. So we do recommend approval of this ordinance to provide the opportunity, if needed, to transfer some second penny funds to the general fund in 2019.
Thank you, John. Comments or questions from the audience? Seeing none, council?
Move approval.
Motion is second to approve ordinance to transfer 2019 second penny funds to the general fund. Don, if you'll set the equipment, please. The results are 9-0. The motion passes. Thank you. Item 8, new business. A request to close Main Street from Norbeck Street to High Street for the 2018 Tanager Homecoming. And James. Put him right to work.
Thank you. As noted, the Vermilion High School has requested to close Main Street from Norbeck Street to High Street for their 2018 homecoming parade. That parade is planned for Friday, October 12th, 2018. The council will find in their packet, in addition to the memo, the application for the street closure, as well as a map that outlines the prospective route of the parade. The parade will essentially run from Norbeck Street to High Street. From what I understand, that's a reversal of what the parade route was last year. The parade would take place, I guess the street would be closed from approximately 12:30 to 3 o'clock, and the parade would start at 1:30. I think it should be noted that this isn't a true street closure in the sense of the word. What our office is proposing is utilizing the rolling barricade that was done last year. So as the parade moves down the street, so do the barriers, and employees start with removing the barriers. So this isn't a true street closure in the sense of the word. And also, members of the community, the police, fire, EMS have all been notified of this request, and the school has offered volunteers to help clean up the mess after the parade. So there are several representatives from Vermillion High School here, and I would like to bring them up for their comment.
All right, thanks, James.
Thank you very much. I'm Camden Dibley. I teach German and English at the high school, and I'm one of the senior class advisors, which is why we're here tonight.
And I'm Lenny Bilberg. I teach U.S. history and Eastern European history at the high school as well. And I'm a senior class advisor, and this is our big item. As if you remember, we were here last year. This is year 2 of the homecoming parade that we haven't had in 30 years, so we're excited about it. And in truth, the community is excited too. Homecoming is 2 weeks later this year, and people have been begging already for the parade entry so they can get in. So we're happy about it, that even though D-Days is the week before us, that they still want to be part of us as well. We just ask for your permission once again to represent our tanagers throughout the city as well.
Thank you. It was wonderful to see it last year.
Thank you.
Thanks. It was as good as we expected and even better, so.
Are you going reverse because it's a better staging area at school?
Yeah, and it was actually a request, I believe, was it the?
Maybe
But the
maybe
city-
the police officers
Yeah.
talked to us, and it is easier to stage. We just didn't know how to get people back to the high school, so
The
we
high
didn't
school
know
students.
what the best way was, and then we found out that the high schoolers all had rides, so it didn't really matter. So
I don't know what we were thinking.
so we were trying to help them, but they don't need our help.
Just
so.
give them the rest of the day off.
Right.
And they loved it, truthfully.
And-
Yeah, one of the coolest things we saw was how many students, no matter their love for high school or not, were part of this event. And we had kids riding on the floats that aren't part of anything, and they were so proud and so happy. And it's truly one time where everybody gets to come together.
There's a great crowd along the route, too.
Yes, because all the schools come over, and they walk over with their classes. And we purposefully have the parade at 1:30 because school gets out at 2. That way then everybody comes to the parade, so nobody is going home yet. Everybody gets to participate.
And we
Thank
felt
you.
such a support from the community to making it happen the first time around, and we anticipate a great second year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience has any comment on this? If not, we'll turn to the council. Tom?
I have a quick question, thank you. I'm curious, and others may be too, are the entries in the parade strictly Vermillion High School, or I would imagine there may be some local organizations, but for example, let's say City Hall wanted to float. What's the deadline?
Actually, the Friday before homecoming week, so that is the 6th. I think it's the 6th of the Friday before. And we would
Yeah.
love to have you. The theme this year is board games, and it's tanagers.
Roll the dice.
Yeah, roll the dice is our theme, so we'd love to see you. The kids already are in the planning, and they are creative already, so it's going to be exciting. But you would, we have a form online. You can click on the school website and get that form, and then email it to Cammie. Her email is listed on the form.
And as far as organizations outside of the school, all of the different schools in the district obviously are invited, different clubs and organizations, and then we've asked any school partners, and you can kind of decide what that means to you, but there's so many businesses and organizations that have been supportive of the school district. We don't want to leave people out who are an important part of the district. And
There are at least 2 Vermilion High School grads here.
oh, I know, former
It's
student.
the best 9 years of my life.
We would love to
Thank
see
you for
them.
doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tom, do you want to drive the old fire engine in the? Well, again, thank you very much. Do we just, yeah, we have to approve this. A motion and second to approve the close of Main Street from Norbeck Street to High Street for the 2018 Tanager Homecoming Parade. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
At least I didn't say we had to do a roll call. Item B, a presentation regarding conservation and climate change action plan. I don't know who's, oh, yeah.
Tonight we bring to you a resolution that's based on the concerns of your friends and neighbors about what's going on with the climate, and what we would like to do is to work with you to find ways in which we can continue to make Vermillion a great place to live. I believe that resolution's in your packet, is it not?
Correct.
Okay. For my 2 cents worth, this is a beginning of something that we can do together. We got together with the Living River Group and Greening Vermillion, and we worked out the best resolution that we could on our own. But we realized we need you at the table, and together we can build something that's going to really make the community better off for the long term. I believe Mark Sweeney's got some things to say.
Mayor Powell, council members, thank you for your time this evening. My name is Mark Sweeney, and I'm a citizen of Vermillion and a geologist by training, here representing Greening Vermillion tonight. And part of my job is to teach the science of climate change to students. And I can tell you with a high level of confidence that the climate is changing and humans have a lot to do with it. There are people out there that do say that the climate has changed on the earth before and it'll continue to do so in the future, but they're not telling you the whole story, because when pressed to explain what it is that is causing the climate to change today, they cannot provide a scientifically defensible answer. The science, on the other hand, is pretty resolute in showing that humans have altered the greenhouse effect, and as a result, we've seen some considerable warming on this planet today, and that will go on into the future. Since the United States withdrew from the Paris Climate Agreement, small communities like Vermillion and cities across the nation are more important than ever in terms of taking action on their own, and in terms of reducing carbon emissions and planning for climate change in the future. Some people might wonder, what kind of changes will we see here in Vermillion, South Dakota? Well, we're probably not going to have to deal directly with sea level rise, and we're not going to have to deal directly with sea ice melting. However, these changes that happen far away from us do impact us here locally, just by flicking the dominoes. Lost my place there. We've already begun to feel the effects. Some of them we might think are positive, such as longer growing seasons or warmer temperatures. So warmer temperatures have been a focus of climate change research for some time, and the rise has been undeniable, especially for the years 2014, 2015, 2016, and 2017, which are the 4 hottest years on record since we've been keeping track of these things. One consequence of these warming temperatures are that with a warmer atmosphere, you have more moisture in the atmosphere. And that plays a big role in what we may have to deal with in years to come. In South Dakota specifically, fall, winter, and spring temperatures have crept up 0.5 degree per decade over the past several decades. The mosquito season has increased by 19 days in the last couple of decades. That impacts us all. Summer droughts are predicted to get worse in the future, and the number of heavy downpours has already been on the steady increase. The number of heavy downpours is on the increase. Now think about that for a moment. Vermilion had to deal with several heavy downpours this past summer, which resulted in a large number of flooded basements across town. This summer could be a preview of what is to come in years ahead. How can we effectively plan for downpours and minimize flooding in our neighborhoods? We want to help you find the answers. As a community, we're already working on reducing our carbon footprint and embracing conservation. Examples include the Bicycling Master Plan and Greening Vermilion's plan to increase recycling through education. And these will ultimately save citizens of Vermilion money. So we can do more. Vermilion is on the right path already. Let's be proactive and take it to the next level together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone else in the audience wish to comment on this?
Can non-residents of the city work?
We usually let anybody talk. But you have a 30-minute time limit.
I don't think I'll be here more than 29.
Okay.
I'm Jerry Wilson and former member of the county commission, worked with Howard on the, and others here on the development of the current joint jurisdiction ordinance, which I think was really a big step forward. I just want to mention some possibilities to think about. Promoting conservation, fuel-efficient vehicles for the city and the county. Considering adopting the energy efficiency features of the International Building Code. Exploring possible city-owned renewable energy. Possibilities would be to, let's say, partner with Lewis and Clark Water Treatment Plant or work with the airport where there's space available where it might be possible to begin planning toward a solar farm. Diversification of tree planting. Exploring possible automobile charging stations, both city-owned and encouraging private businesses to do so. Mark mentioned expanding recycling. Maybe that can be expanded to the university and the business community in a more meaningful way. Working with the county on conservation issues, considering the possibility of solar on city-owned properties. Imagine some panels up on the roof of the city hall. And working with the energy supplier to encourage distributed generation so that people can meaningfully consider the possibility of producing energy on their own homes to feed back into the system. So those are just a few ideas that we've been kicking around that I think could be explored along with many others to help move us ahead in the fight against climate change and toward greater sustainability and conservation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience? Well, let's turn to the council then.
Yeah.
Tom?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for being here. Thank you for proposing this. This is a prime example of how Vermilion can show everybody, but certainly South Dakota, that it's a leader. It's a leader. We're thinking ahead. We're planning ahead. We know there's a problem, and we know it's not going away unless we do something. So you're to be commended for proposing this. We are fortunate to have in our community a good mix of people who are not only interested some are very highly qualified and committed to these improvements. There may even be, dare I say, some international input, since I see someone I recognize. We have legal expertise. We have people who have not just picked this up in the last 2 years. They've been studying these things for a long, long time. So I'm all for attracting new and social economic possibilities, encouraging other communities, but Vermillion being seen as the leader in this. And with that, I move that we receive and review this information and study this information and work with these people in determining the next step for the city of Vermillion.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, people, for bringing this to our attention. I would just comment at this point, due to our supplier of electrical power, we are limited in how much we can generate outside of what we subscribe through them. So that would be where we'd have to have some discussions with Missouri River Energy Services, because they have to have a base, as we all know. So just, we were unfortunate in that 2 years ago, MRES put a solar test deal out in Pierre, at the airport in Pierre. They would have had it here, but at that time, the city didn't own the airport, and Pierre gave them the land in the airport. So we're suggesting maybe they have another test site and put it here in Vermillion. So, anyway, thank you. Next item is tree board appointments. We have 2 openings, one by a regular 2-year cycle, and the other by Howard Wilson, our council person, who has to get off the board since he is now on the council. And so we had applications, and I would like to recommend to the council that Aaron Badke be given the 2-year board appointment, and Clarence Peterson, although he's ill at the moment, we're hoping he'll be back, and we would like to have him fill out the rest of Howard's term. And so, council, that's my recommendation. So moved. A motion and a second to approve those appointments. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. John, if you would let those people know, I'd appreciate it. Item D, a transfer of fire department AED equipment to the city of Somerset, South Dakota. And Matt, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. From 2003 to 2005, the City of Vermillion and the Vermillion-Clay County EMS Association were awarded grant funding which allowed the purchase of approximately 12 LifePak 500 AEDs to be used in police patrol vehicles and fire trucks. In 2016, replacement of these AEDs began due to the lifespan of these units being 8 years and the current life of these current units we had being 11 to 13 years old. With the accumulation of these units now as they've been replaced, staff feels the best route to move these units is to find an agency that has no AEDs available to them. These units are unchecked and were operational when removed from service. Staff would ask the City Council to transfer ownership of 8 of these AED units to the City of Somerset, South Dakota. There is no monetary value to these AEDs due to the age, and these items would be transferred to them with no warranty and given to them as is. There is no financial consideration, and administration recommends transfer of the assets to the above-mentioned city with no warranty or an as-is.
Thank you, Chief. Any comments from the audience on this? Council? A motion then to approve the transfer. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item E, an engineering agreement with Burns McDonnell for the recycling center evaluation. And Jose, please.
Thank you. The city's recycling center is located at 840 North Crawford Road. This building functions as a collection point for all recyclable materials generated in Vermillion. The material that's either picked up by the city's curbside recycling or dropped off by the public at this location. Once the material is collected, the material is sorted and stored for future sale. The existing building was not originally built to function as a recycling center. Staff has been looking into improving the building since 2010 due to this functionality issue and other health issues. In 2012, the city completed the Phase 1 strategic planning study. Part of this study looked at the current recycling practices within Vermilion and Yankton. The study identified alternative types of collection options and identified equipment and building alteration costs for the different collection options. Besides these items, the report also recommended different types of equipment and space usage. The study also mentioned that some features of the building may not comply with current safety and health codes. At that time, the consultant did not evaluate the building for code compliance since that was not part of the scope. Staff did contact 2 engineering consultants recently to get a proposal on the work needed to complete the recycling center evaluation. Both of the consultants have done work for the city's landfill and recycling center in the past and are highly qualified for this type of work. The 2 proposals that the city received are listed on the table. One of them is from Burns McDonnell for $49,600. The other one is from HDR Engineering for $57,500. It should be noted that the proposal submitted by Burns McDonnell was actually there's actually 2 individual tasks in there. Task 1 is actually, for the landfill cell 2 and cell 3 closure design, and task 2 is for the recycling center evaluation. Task 1 was actually for $34,000, while task 2, the recycling center evaluation, is for the $49,600. The item in front of the council at this time is just for task 2, so just the evaluation of the recycling center portion of it. Let's see. Sorry. The city has money budgeted in the 2019 Joint Powers Recycling Fund to pay for the consultant fees. Administration recommends allowing the city manager to enter into an agreement on behalf of the city with Burns McDonnell for engineering services to complete the evaluation of the recycling center.
Thank you, Jose. Anyone in the audience wish to comment on this item? This is joint power, so it's split between us and Yankton.
Yep.
Thank you. Turn it to the council. We have a motion and a second to approve the engineering agreement with Burns McDonnell for the recycling center evaluation. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thanks. No bid openings this evening, so we'll turn to the city manager's report. John, please.
Thank you. At your table this evening, there's a raffle request that came in last week. St. Agnes will be selling $1 raffle tickets from September 15th to October 21st this year. That's part of their Fall Festival event, and the drawing will take place on October 21st. The raffle prizes are donated and vary in value from $50 to $500, and the proceeds from the raffle will be used to benefit St. Agnes Parish and St. Agnes School. Earlier this summer, the City Council, one of the commissions you established was the Human Relations Commission. They do have their first meeting tomorrow morning as they begin their work and get things underway. Just a reminder that Main Street from Prospect Street to the alley on the west side of Core Trust Bank, as well as Market Street from Main to Kidder, will be closed this Friday, September 28th, and Saturday, September 29th. I should say this, but upcoming on Friday, September 28th, and Saturday, September 29th. Those closings are from 3:30 to midnight, and that's part of the Oktoberfest events. Also, High Street from 526 High Street north to Cherry Street will be closed from noon to 4 p.m. This Saturday, September 22nd. Phi Kappa Theta is having a car show fundraisers for Children's Miracle Network. And then on Monday at 5:30 in the large conference room here at City Hall, it'll be a joint city, county, planning commissions will meet. There are 3 residential areas that they're looking at rezoning from agricultural to rural residential, and they'll have their first meeting of the 2 respective planning commissions this coming Monday, the 24th at 5:30.
Thank you, John. Any questions for our city manager? Okay, then we'll move to invoices payable, or stump mic as we call it. Any comments or questions on any of the items on our bills?
Just,
Tom?
Mike, just number 49, can you be a little more specific on what that's for, or remind me in case I forgot?
How we budget out of BBB funds, $220,000, so it's just quarterly the payments are made. made to them for their support.
Further comments or questions? Any ideas to pay our bills? Motion is second to pay our bills. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Consensus agenda, item A, set a public hearing date of October 1, 2018 for a special permit to exceed the permissible sound levels by no more than 50% for the Vermillion High School for a homecoming dance in the high school parking lot at 1001 East Main Street from 9 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. on Saturday, October 13, 2018. Item B, set a public hearing date of October 1, 2018 for a retail on-off sale malt beverage license for Vermillion Cultural Association at 4 West Main Street. A motion is second to approve the consensus agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Steve?
Yes, Jim.
Jeez. A motion is second to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. We're adjourned.